Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Your life is not broken. You're not cursed. You're not behind. You're distracted. You're not failing because you're not smart enough. You're failing because your focus is scattered like confetti at a celebration. You didn't ask to attend. You're chasing too many things that mean too little. And you're ignoring the one thing that could change everything, your focus. You see, focus is not just about looking at something. It's about locking into it so deeply the world around you blurs. It's about saying no to 99 things so you can say yes to the one thing that matters. And when you finally fix your focus, everything will start to shift. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you sat with yourself in silence and asked, what am I really here to do? Not what your mama wants, not what your friends admire, not what looks good on Instagram, but what burns in you when nobody's watching. That's the fire you're supposed to feed. That's the direction your focus should go. But you've been busy, haven't you? Busy scrolling, busy comparing, busy trying to outrun the silence. And in all that noise, your purpose got buried. Your vision got foggy. Your potential got parked. Let me tell you what Steve Harvey once said. The dream is free. The hustle is sold separately. And you can't hustle right if your energy is diluted. You can't build a legacy while chasing every trend, answering every call, trying to please every person. You want to go far, then stop going wide. Go deep, go focused, go forward, fix your focus, then watch everything change. Listen, some of y'all are talented, crazy talented. You've got gifts sitting inside you collecting dust, ideas you never executed, stories you never told, businesses you never started, books you never wrote, love you never gave, because you kept saying, I'll get to it when I have more time. But time doesn't multiply, focus does. You don't need more hours in your day. You need fewer distractions in your path. Look around you. Look at the people you admire, the ones who changed the game. They didn't do it because they were the most gifted. They did it because they locked in. They obsessed. They tuned the world out to tune their purpose in. You can't elevate your life with a microwave mindset and a scatterbrained spirit. You can't manifest greatness while entertaining mediocrity. You can't say you want to win while focusing on people who keep losing. You want your life to change. Fix your focus, because whatever you focus on grows. That's not motivation, that's law. You focus on pain, you get more of it. You focus on failure, you attract more of it. You focus on haters, drama, envy, gossip. Guess what shows up at your front door? But the moment you focus on growth, the moment you focus on peace, the moment you focus on gratitude, discipline, and purpose, the whole universe shifts to match your vibration. Let me tell you something real. The enemy of greatness is not failure, it's distraction. Distraction is slick. It dresses up as urgency. It pretends to be important. It feels like movement, but it's just noise. And you, my friend, were not born for noise. You were born for impact, but impact doesn't come easy. Focus demands sacrifice. You'll have to give up some good things to go after the great ones. You'll lose people who like the old version of you, the distracted, unfocused, always available version. But that's the price of transformation. That's the toll at the gate of elevation. And you have to decide, are you willing to pay it? Because truth is, your life is waiting for you to look it in the eye and say, I'm ready now. Not perfect, not fearless, just ready. Ready to lock in, ready to show up, ready to finally stop quitting on yourself. The people around you might not understand. That's okay. Focus isn't for the crowd, it's for the called. And when you answer that call, everything will start to align. Your relationships will change. Why? Because when you fix your focus, you stop tolerating toxicity. You stop begging for crumbs. You stop loving from lack and start loving from overflow. Your finances will change. Why? Because focus makes you intentional. It makes you disciplined. It rewires your brain to think in terms of legacy, not just luxury. Your faith will change. Why? Because you start listening. You start discerning. You start walking with clarity instead of confusion. You stop chasing applause and start chasing assignment. You stop seeking validation and start seeking vision. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. Focus will take your pain and turn it into purpose. It'll take your heartbreak and turn it into healing. It'll take your setbacks and make them setups. But you've got to choose it every single day. When your alarm goes off, you choose it. When fear creeps in, you choose it. When doubt knocks, You answer with discipline. When excuses rise, you drown them in execution. Because focus is not a one-time decision, it's a lifestyle. It's the quiet commitment when no one's watching. It's doing the work when you don't feel inspired. It's refusing to be average when average is applauded. Let me ask you again, what do you really want? Write it down, speak it out loud, make it so clear. The distractions feel silly trying to compete with it. You were not created to be everywhere. You were created to be effective. You were not created to be everything to everyone. You were created to be exceptional at what you were called to do. And you can't be exceptional while trying to keep up with everyone else. Let them go. Let the distractions fall. Let the noise fade. Get quiet. Get still. Get focused. Because when you fix your focus, you start moving different. You walk different. You talk different. You don't chase. You attract. You don't beg. You build. You don't wander. You win. You want success. Focus. You want love. Focus. You want peace. Focus. All the things you're praying for are already within reach, but they're waiting for you to stop multitasking your destiny, because purpose is picky. It won't compete with your phone, your doubts, your excuses, or your fears. You've been stuck because your focus is scattered. Now's the time to align it. You don't need another book, another guru, another motivational quote. You need a mirror. You need a made-up mind. You need a plan so strong it survives your weakest days. You need to wake up every morning and remind yourself, I'm not who I was. I'm not where I've been. I'm not what they said. I am focused. I am faithful. I am forward. And every time your old self tries to show up, remind it that you're building something too important to be distracted. Focus isn't flashy. It's not sexy. It doesn't get applause, but it builds empires. It restores marriages. It heals families. It changes bloodlines. So today, decide who you're going to be. Decide what you're going to focus on. And decide what you're going to let go of permanently. Because when you fix your focus, you will find your future. You will unlock your power. You will rise like you were always meant to. And when that happens, oh, you won't even recognize the person you used to be. Stay focused and watch everything change. Somewhere along the line, the world convinced you that being available to everything is the same as being committed to something. But let me tell you, availability is not purpose, and access doesn't mean alignment. Just because you can be everywhere doesn't mean you should. Every yes to distraction is a silent no to destiny. There are people walking around with your time, your energy, your brilliance, and they haven't earned an inch of it. You're giving your prime years to side quests that lead nowhere. You're exhausting your spirit chasing things you wouldn't even miss if they disappeared tomorrow. The problem isn't your potential. The problem is your permission. You've allowed too many things to sit at the table of your focus that were never invited by your calling. It's time to clear the room, lock the doors, turn the lights off on anything that doesn't feed your future. See, focus demands you to become ruthless with your boundaries. You can't build vision around people who live in confusion. You can't focus with chaos ringing in your ear. Peace is not a luxury, it's a requirement. And if your focus is the engine, then peace is the oil that keeps it moving without burning out. But focus also costs you your comfort. That's why most people never keep, because the moment you fix your focus, you start seeing how much of your life has been decorated in distractions, pretending to be dreams. That fake relationship you've outgrown, that job title that strokes your ego but starves your soul, that daily routine that feels safe but keeps you stagnant. Let it all fall. Do you know what clarity feels like? It feels like walking away from noise without guilt. It feels like waking up with direction instead of dread. It feels like knowing deep in your chest that you're no longer reacting to life, you're authoring it. And when you begin to author your life with intention, you'll see how many things once called priorities were really just polished procrastination. You'll recognize how urgency is often a trap. That constant feeling of now, now, now isn't always a call to action. Sometimes it's fear in disguise, because fear hates stillness. Fear hates silence. Fear knows that the second you slow down and focus, you'll expose it. And when you do, the truth will hit you like a flood. You were never behind. You were just busy. Busy surviving, busy performing, busy running in circles that look like progress. But now you're ready to move differently, with precision, with hunger, with presence. Because here's the secret nobody told you. When you give everything to a single direction, that direction gives everything back to you. Your gifts sharpen, your confidence returns, your body, your mind, your spirit, they align because you've removed the clutter, you've starved the noise, and finally, your soul has space to breathe again. But don't expect applause for your transformation. Don't expect people to understand your withdrawal. Focus looks like isolation before it looks like elevation. At first, they'll say you're doing too much, that you've changed, that you're cold, that you've forgotten where you came from. Let them talk because you're not chasing nostalgia. You're chasing next level. You're not addicted to approval. You're addicted to results. And the people who belong in your next season will understand the silence that comes with your growth. They'll respect the way you protect your energy. They'll recognize your boundaries as a sign of your vision, not your arrogance. And as you lock in, you'll notice something strange. Time slows down, not literally, but emotionally. Because when you focus, your moments deepen. You stop living wide and start living deep. One task at a time, one relationship at a time, one breakthrough at a time. You begin to master your minutes, and eventually you master your momentum. Momentum isn't built by doing everything. It's built by doing one thing well over and over until it compounds. Consistency is the secret weapon of the focus. And if you can stay locked in, even when it's boring, even when it's thankless, even when it looks like nothing is happening, you'll wake up one day to results that speak louder than any announcement ever could. But focus also requires faith. Faith in what you don't yet see, because in the beginning it'll feel like nothing's working, like you've cut off the world for a dream that's crawling at a snail's pace. But faith is staying faithful, even when the focus hasn't paid off yet. It's trusting that every seed planted in silence will break through the surface. If you don't dig it up too soon, stop checking for fruit in a season of planting. Stay the course, stay locked in, stay faithful. And while you're focused, be warned, temptation will show up dressed like opportunity. The wrong people will offer you shortcuts. The wrong voices will whisper urgency. You'll be tempted to abandon your progress for the thrill of something new. But remember this, not every door is a destiny. Some are just distractions with doorknobs. Ask yourself, will this thing I'm giving my time to still matter 5 years from now? If the answer is no, walk away. If the answer is maybe, wait. If the answer is yes, go all in. Don't straddle the fence. Don't tiptoe around your calling. Jump, commit, burn the exit strategy. Because real focus doesn't leave room for backup plans. It's all or nothing, win or learn, build or break. And if you do break, so what? Break forward, fall in the direction of your vision. Because failure in focus is always better than success in distraction. You don't need more motivation. You need a moment, a decision, a soul-level decision that says, I'm done playing small. I'm done splitting my energy. I'm done answering calls that don't ring with purpose. This is your line in the sand, the day everything shifts, not because of some magic formula, but because you chose to finally fix your focus and never look back. You know what happens when you fix your focus? You begin to recognize power in your choices, not in your environment, not in your resources, not in your background, just your choices. Because the truth is, clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from deciding faster. You've waited too long to be sure when you should have just moved. Most people delay their entire future waiting for certainty. But certainty isn't a requirement. Commitment is. Your focus sharpens every time you choose movement over mental loops. Every time you say, this is the direction, and I'm going to show up like I already believe in it. You might not feel ready. You might not have the perfect strategy, but focus doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. It demands that you stop revisiting the past and start building what you can with what you've got, because what you've got, that's enough to get started. People who focus well aren't always smarter. They're just more decisive. They're more willing to be wrong and learn fast. They don't need a committee vote to pursue purpose. They don't need everyone clapping. They don't need 25 tabs open. They silence the chaos and say, I choose this. And that decision becomes a blueprint. That choice becomes momentum. It's not about being fearless. It's about being resistant to distraction. It's about knowing that some people will misunderstand you. Some seasons will be dry. Some results will take longer than you imagined, but still you lock in. You lock in when it's slow. You lock in when it's quiet. You lock in when nothing makes sense. And that's where your real strength is revealed. Because most people only focus when the path is obvious. They only focus when it feels good. But you're called to focus when nothing's promised. That's the kind of focus that separates the dreamers from the builders. Builders get to work while dreamers wait for signs. Builders don't need everyone's understanding, just their own clarity. Builders don't chase motivation. They build systems, habits, rituals, frameworks that keep them grounded when life gets noisy. So ask yourself, what systems have you created around your focus? Or are you still relying on bursts of emotion to get things done? Because that's not focus, that's survival, that's crisis management, dressed in productivity clothes. True focus, it's quiet, it's not performative, it doesn't beg for attention, it executes, and execution starts with elimination. There's a version of you you're going to have to let die, the one that said yes too often, the one that kept checking phones for validation, the one that lived on autopilot, the one that knew what to do but kept waiting for the right time. That version has to go, not because it was bad, but because it no longer serves who you're becoming. You see, growth demands a new operating system, not just new goals. You've been trying to update your life without deleting old programs. That's why your system keeps crashing. That's why your energy drains so fast. You're running too many processes in the background, trying to be everything to everyone while being true to no one, including yourself. Focus forces you to uninstall what no longer aligns, and alignment, real alignment, is your secret weapon. Because once your time, energy, and values all point in the same direction, you become unstoppable. Your moves get cleaner, your words get sharper, your boundaries get firmer, your relationships get lighter. You begin to attract what fits, not chase what doesn't. And here's the beautiful part. The more you focus, the more life reveals itself. You begin to see opportunities where there used to be overwhelm. You see partnerships where there used to be pressure. You see solutions where others see problems. Why? Because your vision is no longer fogged up by confusion. Focus is a filter. It doesn't make life easier. It makes life clearer. And clarity is a luxury most people never afford themselves. They spend decades trying to be liked, trying to fit in, trying to keep up, and then wake up one day realizing they were chasing the wrong life. But not you, not anymore. You're going to be brave enough to be boring for a while, brave enough to disappear from noise, brave enough to reject pressure in favor of purpose. You'll be misunderstood, maybe even mocked, but stay focused long enough, and those same people will call you genius later, because results have a way of rewriting opinions. Let them say you've changed. Let them say you're too intense. You are. Let them fall off. They were never built to rise with you anyway. And as you keep building, don't be afraid to rest. Don't confuse stillness with laziness. Focused people know when to pause. They know when to step back to recover their edge, because sharpening your mind requires silence. Strategy lives in the quiet, so don't burn out trying to prove your focus. Real focus is self-evident. You don't need to post it. You don't need to explain it. Just stay consistent. The results will show up louder than any caption ever could. Here's something nobody tells you. The last thing to change in your life is your environment. The first thing, your mind, your internal world shifts before your external world ever reflects it. That's why people quit too soon. They don't realize the storm they're pushing through is just the final resistance before the breakthrough. So don't get distracted now. You're close. You're closer than you think. closer to peace, closer to break, closer to the life that once felt impossible. But you'll only see it if you stay locked in, not perfect, not superhuman, just focused, quietly, steadily, boldly focused. Because once you master that, nothing can shake you, nothing can stop you, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can make you go back to the way it used to be. You don't need to scream for your future to hear you. You need to align. You need to become so congruent in your actions, your thoughts, and your intentions that life has no choice but to move in your favor. Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because of consistency. Focus isn't loud. It's not about showing everyone what you're doing. It's about becoming undeniable through quiet repetition, through presence, through cutting out the noise so you can finally hear your own ambition speak clearly again. Most people wait for life to tap them on the shoulder and say, "You're ready now." But focus doesn't wait. It initiates. It builds in silence and lets the results echo through generations. It doesn't chase validation. It doesn't knock on every door, hoping one will open. It builds the house and installs the door. That's the power of focus. It puts you in control of your direction. And when you truly understand your direction, you stop negotiating with distractions. You stop trying to explain yourself to people who don't operate at your level. You stop pausing your progress to entertain someone else's confusion. You stop giving VIP access to people who bring nothing but uncertainty to your table. That's not focus. That's charity. And you weren't called to pour your purpose into empty vessels. Not everyone deserves a seat where vision is being served, because real focus attracts pressure, pressure to stay consistent, pressure to improve, pressure to outgrow your excuses. And yes, pressure will try to break you, but pressure also creates diamonds. It purifies, it sharpens, it separates the wishers from the doers. When your life starts elevating, the universe will test your loyalty to the process. The distractions will increase, not disappear. You'll be tempted to fall back into patterns that once felt like comfort but were actually cages. That's where you must choose familiarity or elevation, safety or growth, excuses or evolution. Focus whispers, keep going, even when nobody claps, because real focus is faith in motion. It's choosing your mission when the applause dies down. It's honoring your purpose when no one's watching. It's executing the plan when all you feel is pressure. That's what separates successful people from those who stay stuck. Not skill, not luck, not privilege. Focus. You don't need to fix your whole life overnight. Just fix your lens. Fix the way you look at your time. Fix the people you give access to. Fix the conversations you allow into your atmosphere. Fix your environment until it reflects where you're going, not where you've been. And once you do that, something amazing happens. Your inner world strengthens. You become less reactive, less scattered, less tempted by shortcuts. Because when your vision is precise, your path gets narrow. And that narrow path is where transformation lives. It's where you find yourself again, beneath the layers of distraction and delay. See, the undisciplined mind seeks comfort, but the focused mind seeks clarity. And clarity doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it shows you what you must release. Habits that once felt harmless, people you once called soulmates, stories you've told yourself for years. Focus reveals the gap between who you are and who you're becoming. It doesn't judge, it just shines a light. But most people avoid that light. They'd rather stay in the crowd, blending in, staying busy, looking productive. Because focused living looks like lonely living at first. You'll go days, even weeks, without feeling seen, without hearing your name called. But listen, the process doesn't owe you validation. The process owes you preparation. You're not being punished, you're being refined. And what's coming on the other side of your focus will require a stronger version of you, a wiser version, a version that's not distracted by flattery or triggered by critics, a version who doesn't lose sleep over silence, a version who's built for impact, not applause. That's the version you're building every time you choose structure over chaos, every time You say no to what feels good now so you can say yes to what lasts later. Every time you get up and move, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. That's focus, and that's the soil where greatness grows. But let's be honest, staying focused hurts at first. It hurts to detach from the familiar. It hurts to decline distractions disguised as friendships. It hurts to feel like you're missing out while everyone else seems so connected. But what they don't tell you is that most people are connected to noise, not meaning. They're tuned in to trends, not truth. They're invested in comfort, not calling. And while they waste time refreshing feeds, you'll be refreshing your future. You'll be designing days that reflect discipline. You'll be building confidence in silence. You'll be laying brick after brick while the world claps for surface level wins. But when the dust settles, when the lights fade, your foundation will still be standing because it wasn't built on dopamine. It was built on direction. Direction gives you freedom, freedom to create, freedom to walk away, freedom to build without explaining, freedom to slow down and still know you're ahead because you're aligned. There is no shortage of ideas in this world, but there is a shortage of follow through. And that's where your focus becomes your superpower because anyone can start, anyone can dream, but few have the discipline to continue, not when it's easy, but when it's quiet, when the initial excitement wears off, when results take time. That's when you'll have to lead yourself, motivate yourself, hold yourself accountable, and that's what will separate your name from the rest. So ask yourself, are you willing to be consistent when no one sees you? Are you willing to work on your mind, your body, your purpose, even if the results are delayed? Are you willing to move in silence long enough for your life to start making noise? Because eventually, and hear me clearly, the life you build will speak so loud you won't need to. Your focus will become the proof, not just of what you can do, but of who you've become in the process. That's what makes all the sacrifice worth it. Your breakthrough won't come with fireworks. It'll come with one quiet decision you make today and honor tomorrow. A simple shift, a new standard, a mental agreement that from this moment forward, anything that does not feed your future will starve. Focus is not a personality trait. It's a decision made in the trenches, a decision to build even when the blueprint feels incomplete. It's the resolve to trust the structure, even when you can't see the whole staircase. And most of all, it's the boldness to believe in your future with no visible evidence yet. This is what separates the uncommon from the average. The uncommon don't wait for external motivation. They create internal mandates. They don't wish for better seasons. They become the season. They don't bounce from idea to idea, looking for a spark. They generate fire through unwavering attention to detail. You are not here to doubt. You are not here to taste test your purpose like a buffet. You are here to master something, to own your lane, to build your name on a foundation of precision and integrity. And that requires sacrifice, sacrifice that nobody sees, discipline that nobody claps for, hours of refinement that never make it to social media. You'll sweat, you'll ache, you'll doubt, but you'll also grow. You'll also win. You'll also realize that the isolation you feared was actually the incubation of your legacy. You have to understand, your future doesn't respond to intention. It responds to execution. A focused life is an executed life. And execution demands structure. What does your day look like? What does your environment sound like? What distractions have you made too comfortable? Because every minute you allow unfiltered access to your attention, you're leaking power. Every tab you keep open in your life, mentally, emotionally, digitally, is a drain. And no high performer ever built greatness while bleeding energy through unguarded gates. Your focus is your fortress. Guard it like your life depends on it, because it does. Your emotional stability, dependent on your focus. Your ability to make decisions under pressure, anchored by your focus. Your capacity to recover from failure, heartbreak, disappointment. All of it flows from the center of your attention. And attention is the most valuable currency in the world. Not money, not fame, not connections. Attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If your mind is scattered, your results will be too. If your priorities are confused, so will be your outcomes. So simplify. Get ruthless with what stays. Become radical about what goes. Stop hoarding ideas you'll never use. Stop entertaining people who dilute your momentum. You don't owe anyone your peace. You don't have to explain your silence. You don't need to apologize for choosing clarity over chaos. Make your mission loud and your access rare. Operate like your time is expensive, because it is. Operate like your mind is sacred, because it is. Operate like your vision is irreplaceable, because it is. Your life is too valuable to be lived casually. And the truth is, the reason most people never reach mastery is not because they lack talent, but because they refuse to surrender to the boring. Focus by nature is repetitive. It requires you to show up to the same mission with renewed intensity every day, long after the novelty wears off. This is where champions are made, in the monotony, in the unseen, in the quiet hours, when no one's clapping and nothing's trending. In those moments where your only reward is your own progress. That's where the future is born. The goal isn't excitement. The goal is elevation. And elevation requires endurance, emotional endurance, mental resilience, the kind that allows you to block out noise, delay gratification, and stick with the process when it feels like standing still. That's not standing still. That's compounding. Every act of focus adds weight to your direction. Every time you choose structure over chaos, you're building internal equity, and that equity grows, not in applause, but in alignment, not in trends, but in transformation. You'll start to see it in how you walk into rooms, how you speak about your goals, how you navigate adversity, how you silence chaos with conviction. People will notice, not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. Clarity carries weight. And when you become clear, the world responds differently. Doors open, resources appear, mentors take interest. Opportunities land where confusion once lived. Not because the world changed, but because your focus did. So pause and ask yourself, what's been stealing your clarity? What have you been giving power to that doesn't return it? What patterns have you protected because they felt familiar, even though they sabotage your elevation? This is your moment to reset, not with noise, not with performance, but with intention. Because the more focused you become, the more you realize you don't need more. You just need less noise, less hesitation, less emotional leakage, less time spent proving yourself to people who can't even see your worth. You were not created to stay surface level. You were born with depth, with purpose, with fire. But that fire needs fuel, and fuel requires filtering out what doesn't serve it. It means pruning, detaching, sometimes even grieving the version of yourself that was addicted to distraction. Yes, it hurts to evolve, but stagnation hurts more. You've outgrown the cycles. You've outgrown the emotional triggers. You've outgrown the indecision. Your future is not waiting for perfection. It's waiting for a clean line of sight, a soul that says no more clutter, no more compromise. I'm ready to build with intention. That's the power of fixed focus. It creates a rhythm in your life that doesn't need permission from your feelings. It says, whether I feel ready or not, I move. It says, whether they support me or not, I rise. It says, whether anyone claps or not, I build anyway. Because the life you want, it's not coming through hope alone. It's coming through precision, through the hard, unsexy decision to prioritize your path even when distractions promise short-term pleasure. You don't need another plan. You need permission, your own. Permission to simplify. Permission to get laser sharp. Permission to ignore the crowd. Permission to bet everything on you. Once you give yourself that, everything, and I mean everything, will change.